So, a question I often ask myself, VFR 1200, 170 brake horsepower, would I have bought it if it didn't have that much? Well, let's have a chat about it.
So, throughout the decades, we've had this sort of race for power, and we used to get a lot of headlines about is 100 brake horsepower enough? Then we get is 125 brake horsepower enough? Do we really need 150? Do we really need 200? And so it goes on. So I've got 170 brake horsepower bike. Do I need that? Probably not on the road. But there's a difference between needing it and wanting it or liking it. I don't need it. I don't particularly want it, but I like having it. But it's not for the horsepower. Without getting too technical, obviously, torque times revs equals power. So the fact that I want the torque and I want it spread across a wide range, that eventually gives me the power. So it just comes with the amount of torque that this VFR has got. Let's have a look at the dyno chart for it.
Rear wheel horsepower, obviously it's showing 152 there, over 150, 170 at the engine. As we can see, with the bulk of where I ride, between 4.5 and 6.5 on an average ride. Obviously I'll go a bit up to here when I want to go a bit mad off a roundabout, or just one of the mad moments, you know what it's like. But most of my time's here, and that's around 80 foot-pound of torque, and that's where that meatiness comes from. Actually a 2012 bike might have a bit more there because of the ECU alteration, but not a lot. It'll be very, very similar. Now, because you're getting that much torque, and it's going all the way up to, I think it says it's got 80% of maximum torque up to about 9,000. Because you got the revs, you get the high power. All the way up to, at the rear wheel, the 152, where the torque starts dropping off. So it isn't that I'm interested in. It's this torque spread here. That's where that meatiness, that's where that road sort of thrust comes from, where you want it on the road. To make it easy to view in horsepower terms, if I'm sort of like between 5 and 7 most of the time, between 70 brake horsepower and 115, that's really healthy. And that's why people often say you don't need much more than 100 brake horsepower, because between that it's still very, very quick on the road, very quick.
So as we can see, the torque, or the power, sorry, comes from the amount of torque that the VFR has. So I don't particularly want that amount of power. I've just got it because of the amount of torque that it's got, and that's what I enjoy. It makes the riding so much easier when you can get at that torque low revs. The bike's a lot more calmer. You're generally going a bit slower, and it's a bit more satisfying. I've ridden many bikes that have as much torque as the VFR 1200, but ultimately at very high revs. And by the time you get to it, you're flying, and you don't get the same sort of sensation. The thing about torque is, you can feel it. You know, it's a push in the back. You can feel it. You can't really feel power because it's more to do with speed, and you know, speed you need perception, as it were. So if I was doing 100 miles an hour in the middle of the night, in the middle of the 4 lanes of the M1, say, the sensation of speed wouldn't be very great, even though I could be using a lot of power getting there. But torque, you always feel it, because it's that shove in the back. And sometimes when you get to really high power, I personally can't tell the difference. The most powerful bike I've ridden was 1299 Panigale, 205 brake horsepower, about 190 at the back wheel. And I think one of the reasons I couldn't feel it was quite brutal, and my senses were battered about the sound of the bike. It was, you know, jumps out of your hands a bit if the road's not perfect. And you couldn't enjoy it, you know. If you look at the likes of the Fireblade or ZX10s, not quite as brutal, so they might only have 190 brake horsepower, but you can sort of enjoy that a bit more. But in all honesty, once you're above 150, 160, I personally, I can't really tell the difference. But I can feel the difference if the bike is torquey, spread over a wide range. The Triumphs are very good for that, apparently. I've only ridden one triple. They're very good at spreading the torque, and that's what makes it a lovely road bike. I can remember back in the 90s when I had my ZX9, and my friend had a 95 Fireblade. The ZX9 was more powerful, it had a bit more torque, but on the road, when you rode them both, the Fireblade actually, in a lot of occasions, felt fitter. Simply because, I don't know, the throttle action, the way it fed the power to the back wheel. There's lots of things where a less powerful bike can fail quicker than a more powerful bike. There's lots of things going on there. It's amazing how much the power delivery helps. Kawasaki's always have a lovely sound though. It always had a better sound than the Fireblade. So to get back to my original question, would I have bought the VFR 1200 if it didn't have 170 brake horsepower? Well, yeah, I probably would have. But I probably would have cut it off at about 150. If it was less than 150, maybe the BMW K13 might have come into play a bit more, or the Kawasaki GTR 14. I don't know. I don't need 170 brake horsepower, but I like having it. Thanks again for watching. Bye.